Knights, it is I, Countess Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue our discussion on Werewolf the Apocalypse and the World of Darkness. We are finishing up with the rules of the game, the basics of the rules, and the roles you're going to be taking. So you could have an opposed role, where various characters, let's say yourself and an opponent, are rolling against each other. The point of this is you're going to look to the various traits you have, and the traits of your opponents to find a difficulty. Roll against each other, and whoever has the most successes is the successful one in this case. To measure the amount of success, you look at, let's say you're the one that's counted as successful. You count your number of successes. You subtract any ones from that, because ones are still going to cancel it out. Then you take your opponent's net successes after their ones, subtract it from the successes you have, and whatever remains is the number of successes you've had to become successful at this action. Having excellent results on this kind of test is incredibly rare. More likely than not, you're just going to pass with just that little bit if this is the situation. There is other situations that you can have. An opponent could be rolling in opposition to you just to hinder your result. The point of their roll is not to also get success, but to subtract successes from you. This is an option that can occur. You, of course, can do the same back to an opponent, of course. But you can have this sort of, I'm only in opposition to someone else's successes. There can be an extended oppositional-based test while you're attempting some kind of extended test, while someone else is trying to hinder your successes. You still have a goal of a number of successes to make, but there could be rounds where you have no successes whatsoever because of the interference of someone else. You just have to keep attempting to build that up until the point in time where you meet and hope that that opposition doesn't interfere enough. Now you can also have teamwork tests. Teamwork tests are going to traditionally be an extended test, and it's when two or more characters work together to accomplish the same goal. Both of you separately roll the test and add together your successes to see how far you're getting on this test. You never add your traits together. The point is both of you are working together, both of you are rolling your abilities separately, and then adding together the success. This will be very situational when your storyteller effectively allows you to work together. The fact is, there can be circumstances when getting help from someone can actually be a hindrance. And in that case, it should reflect that. Your storyteller will determine whether it's going to actually help you to get your buddy's help, or it's going to hurt the situation. Now let's talk about failure, because failure can get frustrating. But the fact is that there are oftentimes points in time where you can reattempt to do something. Failure might make a bad result that you just are going to have to live with but can continue going on. It could be a circumstance where trying again does not exist. If I'm trying to jump from rooftop to rooftop and I fail, and I'm down on the ground level, I'm not going to attempt that again. Why the heck am I going to attempt that again? I was probably in the middle of a chase. I should figure out something to do that's alternate from what I'm doing here. So you can see there are points and times where you can not try again. There are points in time where you can repeatedly try again with no trouble whatsoever. If you're trying to unlock an old-timey turning safe and basically using some kind of safe cracking ability, well, if there's no alarm attached to this, nothing wrong with failure, you can always try again. Same with climbing a tree. If I fail and fall out, I can try again. On the other hand, there are the tests that should you retry them, it becomes harder. Basically, your interference has made it more difficult. Every time you retry it, it increases the difficulty by 1. So the first time you fail, difficulty goes up by 1. Second time you fail, goes up by 2. This will be circumstantial. Your storyteller will determine which of these they're going to use. If they're going to use the optional rule of it becoming slowly more difficulty, if they're just going to allow you to re-roll it, or if you can't re-roll it whatsoever. Your storyteller is going to determine based on the circumstances and what kind of test it is, and basically tell you then, this is what it is, this is how it works, that's how you're going to either retake it, retest it, or not. So that's it. We're finished with the basic rules. We've gone over them. There's nothing else to do with the rules except the little details in between. Things that modify different roles. When we get into things like combat or something, there's all kinds of modifiers related to that. But that's not the cusp of it. We've gone over the very basics of how the rules work, and with this, you should be ready to play. All those other details, Most of the time, that's up to your storyteller to understand it. The thing is, you can read through those yourself too. But the book here gives a great suggestion of a list of example types of roles that maybe you want to try out for yourself. Experiment a little bit. Pick up your dice. Try some things out. Do a little bit of experiment. Get a hold of how these rules work. Understand all these various checks that we talked about and how they relate to each other. There's also a number of game terms in here, which I'm only going to go over 5, which I feel are very important to talk about. The rest of them are either very self-explanatory or ones that when we just talk about them, it's going to add their context. We've also talked about a few of them themselves. If you want to check the full list for yourself, though, the book does provide them. The ones I do want to talk about are, of course, auspex, which is the phase of the moon your werewolf was born under. This is important for various aspects of your character creation. There's also, of course, the gifts, which are the supernatural powers that your werewolf has. You will be taking some gifts in the course of your character creation, so it's important to know what those are, that they are supernatural powers. Your gnosis is actually your connection to the spiritual world. It's your connection to the spiritual side of Garou, and that's how much it is measured by. Rage is a measurement of the wolf's anger or that of your inner beast. Effectively, how much of that monster, that beast, is locked inside of you. And renowned, of course, is how well you are measured within Garou society, within werewolf society, and the position you basically have in it to a degree. Now let's go over character creation just a little bit. I'm going to introduce it now. The thing is, you're going to create your own unique character in the setup that you feel is appropriate to what you want to play. However that is, it's going to be up to you. Your storyteller is there to help you along this process. They should know everything you need to know in order to do it, in order to create this character, and should be able to help you out along the way. The point is for you to come up with some form of concept that you wish to play and figure out the strengths and weaknesses and base the various traits of that character around said strengths and weaknesses and then to formulate it to the best possible version of the concept that you've come up with originally, of the idealism you had for a character you want to play, and put it down into its form. Now there is a basic pattern to this creation. First and foremost is basically going to be all the major concepts related to this character. Everything that you need to know to start out with it. The core concepts you're playing off of. Once you have those concepts established, you're going to be statting out all the various traits. These are going to be your strengths, your weaknesses, the various numbers which represent the various abilities, the traits of your character. Once you've completed all of these, you're going to effectively mix them together as some kind of soup in order to come up with the character itself. Adding a background and some personality to this is what's going to cement this all together. So you take that concept, you add in all the traits which should represent it, the strengths, the weaknesses, the abilities which represent this core concept that you began with, and then you just add in a background which explains a lot of this, which makes sense to the storyline that you've been establishing, and a personality to match the background and the abilities that you've put together with it. Whether it's a brute kind of strength person, maybe it's someone that's got a lot of personality, maybe it's someone that's really smart. All of these are reflections in the way that you wanted to build it originally, and the personality you match should match those appropriate abilities. At this point in time, you've finished your character, the best character you think it should be for the concept you have, for the character you want to play. Now that's it for today. I finished up the rules. The basic rules, talking about, first off, oppose tests, where someone will oppose you succeeding, whether both of you are trying to succeed at the same time or someone's just trying to interfere with you. About teamwork tests, where 2 or more characters work together to accomplish something. And of course, I did talk about retrying if you fail, because that's an important concept is, can I try again? Did my frustrating failure mean I'm doomed and can't do it again? Or can I still try? And I did talk about a few of the basic concepts along with the idea that you should test out some of these roles to get a feel from it. Then we dived into character creation. We've only put our little foot in actually right now. We've only tested the waters of character creation, talking about the very basics, where you come up with a concept. You throw together those traits, you add your background, you add your personality, you mix all of these things together, and you get your character, the character you want to play. In the next episode, we're going to be diving headfirst into character creation and diving into each of these steps that you have to take. So you begin to understand the process that you're going to be taking in order to develop this character that you want to play. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's just support for the channel, the empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon. Link description below. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.